You are listening to Meet the Chicago Historians, live and direct from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the northwest side of Chicago on Monday, December the 19th, the year 2011. Hey, friends, you sometimes wonder where you should go to have lunch? Well, I have the place for you, and that's Sorrento's Italian Village, which is located at 2318 North Mannheim Road in Melrose Park. They have a wonderful lunch buffet Monday through Friday from 11 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you got a business associate, or an employee, someone special you like to take out for lunch, Sorrento's Italian Village, which is located at 2318 North Mannheim Road in Melrose Park, is the place to go. And their phone number is area code 847-455-9440. You can stop there and see Frank or Sam and tell them that you're interested in their daily buffet, which is, again, Monday through Friday from 11 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And on Tuesdays, their buffet special, if you purchase a regular price soft drink and enjoy Sorrento's famous lunch buffet at half off the regular price from 11 until 2 o'clock. Now, if you want to take your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance, or even your mother-in-law out for a nice dinner, Sorrento's got a great dinner menu for in the evening. I know because I've been there many times, and they have such delicious food. Their pizza is out of this world, and their Italian sausage, their meatballs, their spaghetti, their pasta, whatever. So that's Sorrento's Village, which is located at 2318 North Mannheim Road in Melrose Park. They're on Mannheim. They are just a little south of Fullerton Avenue by about maybe a block and a half or so, and they're on the west side of the street, and they have a huge parking lot that you can take and park in. And there's no meters. Nope. You just pull in the parking lot, lock your car, go into the front door, and sit down and enjoy a great meal. Like I said, friends, I have been there many times to enjoy a great meal. In fact, I was just there this past Saturday night for the 511 Club and the Fire Museum of Illinois for our Christmas party, and by golly, was their food delicious. So once again, for a nice afternoon luncheon, you can take out your friends, your relatives, your business associates, employees, or whatever. They have a great luncheon buffet every Monday through Friday from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock at 2318 North Mannheim Road in Melrose Park. And you can go on their website, which is www.Sorrento, SORRENTOVILLAGE.com for more information. They are open 7 days a week for lunch and for dinner. Again, Sorrento's Italian Village for a nice luncheon special or a real nice evening dinner. Sorrento's Italian Village, which is located at 2318 North Mannheim Road in Melrose Park. And once again, their phone number is area code 847-455-9440. Stop in. You'll enjoy their great menu. And now back to Meet the Chicago Historians, and here is our pal, Jack Ryan. Go ahead, Jack. It's all yours.
Hey, you fellow history buffs. We're back. And we're probably in our final hour, it looks like. And we were speaking of the, still speaking of the Our Lady of the Angels tragedy of 53 years ago. And something I got to mention now that we're at the break time, about people who were there. Bill Giaconetti, our own Bill Giaconetti from WJJG, was invited to be here today but couldn't make it. He was there as a high school kid, and he wound up doing some assisting removals or something, and he wanted to be a fireman, but you never did make it. You got in the police department. And I guess
We were fussy.
well, the thing is, everything happens for a reason. Because it turned out he retired as the most decorated Chicago police officer in history. So, as I said, everything happens for one reason or another. So, one way to look at it. I guess that we would try to say, why would something like this happen? But well, unfortunately, we're not infused with the wisdom of the Almighty. And anyway,
Pat, did you not say that you had some type of memorabilia from the fire?
From the Iroquois Theater fire, you mean?
No, from Our Lady of the Angels.
Not from Our Lady of the Angels.
Oh, okay.
No,
oh,
no.
It's from the Iroquois.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't. My aunt does. What happened was her aunt and her aunt's two kids were supposed to go to the show that day, which was a kids' show, and one of the kids had the flu, so they all stayed home. But she still had the tickets, which have been kind of passed down.
Okay,
And
yeah.
my
That would
aunt
be-
has those in a vault somewhere.
Yeah, they should be framed and put on display somewhere. It'd be great for the museum. Of course, it's a family, heirloom.
Put on
but
display at the Fire Museum.
Fire
of Greater
Museum
Chicago.
and
it'd be perfect. But of course, proper credit would be given to whoever donated it, right?
absolutely, And,
No, absolutely,
and that's
yeah.
and I'm glad you brought that up, Jack, because every time we get a donation, we tell people, hey, this is going to be on display. This isn't in someone's basement, or it's not
Right.
going to be
Right.
in our attic or up in our library or something like that. It's going to be on display, and
We just had one of our old timers pass away, Roy Berry, who was kind of a, well,
a character.
a character
Say
on
it.
the job, and his daughter called from Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she lives, the only daughter, I guess,
Well,
and she showed me. She's up here, and she wanted to meet, and we have a 10 by 10 storage unit, loaded. I mean loaded. You can't walk in the place of his. He was an addictive buyer of fire department stuff, and I'm now looking for an appraiser. We cannot appraise ourselves.
yeah.
So we've got to find a licensed appraiser to appraise this so that she can take it off on her income tax, of course,
Yeah.
and then all of that will come to the museum. But I mean, the guy was just he was a character, and he was a collector, and some of the stuff is unbelievable.
Can I tell you a little story from the fire alarm angle? He got to be a captain, but when he was a lieutenant and captain too, he obviously operated the radio. When he was coming home, he always said this. Like he was lieutenant on Truck 39. Truck 39 to Maine, Maine to Truck 39. We're returning to the nest to rest for the next big test. That's what he would say on the radio. Until Quinn heard it one day and said, "Shut up!" But do you remember that? I don't know if you remember that, Bill. Do you remember that, John?
I heard that.
Yeah, he used to use it most of the time.
Oh, he's a character.
Yeah.
He's,
You mean Governor Quinn?
Yeah, Governor
yeah,
Quinn.
Governor Quinn.
No, Bob Quinn.
For those of
The real Quinn.
The
don't
real
know,
Quinn,
yeah.
yeah. Our Quinn is Bob Quinn,
the former commissioner.
former commissioner. Yeah.
The guy that liked the Sox so well.
Yeah.
So well
We
that he created a stir, to say the least.
well, that's what he took the fall for.
He
it,
took the fall for it,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned this, so when they blew the sirens when the Sox won the pennant. I was on Berry Avenue there at Washington, and I went out and
And
I
sort
was
of
watching the game, and I knew,
yeah.
September 22nd, 1959.
yeah.
Oh, what a
And you
marvelous
are there.
memory.
Was it
Getting
ground
back
ball?
to,
Do you remember
Def
I
Leppard?
remember well. As a matter of fact, I remember when the sirens were going off, and some friends of mine said, "This sounds like an air raid." And I said, "Yeah, they're air raid sirens, but I guarantee you we're not being attacked."
No.
And the guy said, "Why?" Because Khrushchev is scheduled to address the United Nations tomorrow, and he is in New York, and they are not going to attack when their leader is here. Furthermore, they do not have the means of delivery. They didn't at the time. They did not have the means of delivery for shooting from Russia missiles from Russia to the United States.
Can we be sure about that?
Well, this is what we were being told. But one thing,
I feel better.
one thing that was certain was that with Khrushchev in New York, they weren't going to be doing any attacking.
Yeah.
So relax, folks. It's something else. Like
We're
the Sox
safe,
won
we're
the
safe.
series.
If you were watching TV, you know what it was.
Yeah.
See, Khrushchev had to pick a year when the Yankees win in the World Series, and that's only a couple of, 54 and 59 in the 50s, right?
Well, I'm going to do a segue, and it pertains to the Susan Degnan murder.
Oh, sure. I remember
Now,
that.
at the time, there was a similarity in my age and her age. I was a little older.
So what year would that be like? I mean,
You know,
I mean,
I can
no,
tell
I'm
you.
not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
46.
46?
Yeah.
46.
Okay.
46?
Yeah.
46?
when I was born.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, we were celebrating
well
that
then
too.
you're going to learn something. Yeah.
I tried.
Well,
Yeah.
Now, in your case, Jack, you'd be only hearing about it, right?
I've heard about it before.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my point, yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The point I'm wanting to bring out is how a tragedy can come right back into your home from a whole different angle. When that happened to her, of course, they didn't know who did it. And the story is someone crawled up to her window on a ladder, went in her bedroom, and took her out of the bedroom and out the same way or whatever doorway. And Susan is missing.
How old, Susan?
It's about 6 or 7.
Seven, maybe.
Yeah,
six,
6,
right?
7.
Yeah, that's why I said there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of age
Yeah.
difference.
Sounds
But
like the Lindbergh baby
it was
kidnapping. So.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And in this respect, it was personal to each person hearing it, because everybody had a kid, or it was I was the kid, or
Yeah.
in every home. All
Sure.
right. So immediately we were all told, news-wise and otherwise. Don't forget we didn't have the TV. To never leave your home now without leaving lights on in the house. And at that time you were very conservative and
Yeah.
spend another penny, We're not all going to do that. But we all did it, and we do it till this day.
Yeah.
And that's the tragedy
Tragedy.
that started. But they were looking for the so-called killer. And they also found her section, her body section off, where they were finding parts of her in all the sewers.
Yeah.
This was up in Rogers Park.
Park. Yeah.
Now you got to understand, we're down at North and Cicero. My dad, being the profession he was, he had people who worked for us in the hospital. And they seldom ever came to our home unless it was something emergency and they couldn't get them or whatever. So about 5 nights after it was understood she was found, and they're still looking for the murderer, everyone was told, lock your doors, keep your lights on, and know where everybody is at. One of our workers came to our front door in the hallway, and at that time all the hallway glass had cut glass, like on your bathroom windows.
Sure.
It was also in
Yeah.
your lobby,
Yeah.
and if the light was right, there would be an image of you. We couldn't see you, but we could see your image. And the person that came to get him, to give him a message, was wearing a fedora hat, something he never ever wore, and he was trying to be funny, so when we would say, "Who is it?" he would mumble something. We couldn't hear him, but he was playing a game with us. And of course, we were getting more and more involved with this conversation. So my father, who was a very, big guy,
Hope he
You
had a
went-
big gun.
well, you didn't even do that. He went in the kitchen and he got a huge
Butcher knife. I knew you were going to say that.
and he walked through our house. We put us all toward the bedroom, and he whipped open the door, and he was ready to pounce him. And here it was somebody
Yeah.
just playing a joke.
Yeah.
you know, because
What a
we were, and
Sure.
it
You were
took my
so-
dad days to come out of the feeling of, you know, I almost killed you.
Yeah.
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 So that tragedy could have been a tragedy
Sure.
in our home.
I
Sure.
have something to add to that.
Yeah.
Jeanette, is that we lived at 5949 North Lakewood.
Oh my!
Close
Right
to it.
down the
And-
street.
And I knew Susie Degnan
You did.
because my
And her
folks
dad was an
would take us to the right up to the lake to go
Look at
swimming.
Yeah.
And I mean, not that well. We just,
I
you
know.
hi, how are you, and this and that. And there was a bakery right there that they always went in, and we would meet them there. And after that, there was no more. I think that was the last time they ever took me to the lake,
Yeah.
because the thought was that what's I can't think of his name now.
Richard Herons.
Richard Heron.
William.
Yeah, William.
Or William
Herons.
Herons.
Herons,
And,
right?
and I believe he's
Yeah.
still
Yeah, he's
alive,
still alive.
in the,
He's still
in the
alive,
prison.
Still in the
Right.
joint,
Yeah.
trying to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they
Longest
said
And he had-
that he saw her down at the
Yeah, and he just followed
beach
her
and
track.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And of
But,
course, he
that-
did
that
other
was something
murders
on
too.
there. And then when I went on the fire department, off of the fire patrol, the boys were killed up in the
Peterson's.
Oh,
taken
Peterson,
and
Schussler,
Schussler.
yeah.
And that was one of our first projects, details on the
Mm-hmm.
fire department, is to go around to sewers
Mm-hmm.
with the coppers, and we're looking
You learned
for
from
them
there.
because we had the tools and that. And I
Yeah.
thought, what the hell am I doing on this job? I'm looking
Yeah.
at sewers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
yeah,
the-
Susie
yeah.
Degnan was.
Well,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I am interpreting that their tragedy could have been something
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
And I can still see him. That
Oh,
reaction.
my
I
mother
can
never
still,
went down there afterwards, and of course we had the polio epidemic
Oh,
right after that
yes.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that really cut everything off. Oh my
Yeah.
God, you couldn't go near the water.
Everybody was afraid to go out, even at night
Yeah.
in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, I remember having a butcher knife. My parents went out one night, and I don't know, it was a birthday party or something, but I wasn't invited. I stayed home, and I was
kind of scared.
I was
Yeah.
like 13 or 14. So
Yeah.
I wasn't. But I put a big
Every
butcher knife,
sound.
you know, and I had it on the kitchen table
Yes,
because I was, you know.
I'll never forget how the Chicago newspapers played up that case. Large photos and diagrams
Yeah.
of how the criminal walked.
Yeah.
The
There's
tabloid
still-
treatment for days.
There's still Pat.
Exactly.
Pat,
Exactly.
were you in? I don't know if you
Yeah, that's right.
because
Yeah.
the
Just like you are.
you know
That case,
And
I don't think papers
finally
would
was-
cover that. There wouldn't be that kind of coverage today.
Yeah, and he finally was caught by trying to burglarize another home or
That sounds
something.
right.
Parts, because that area has a lot of apartment
Yeah.
buildings.
And they showed him the writing on the mirror.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Stop me
that's
right
what I was
away.
going to stop.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, and
But he
they
left
think a
another-
reporter maybe wrote that with lipstick or something.
Well,
you know?
I don't know about that.
That was around Addison and Pine Grove, or so as I recall.
Well,
Her name was Brown.
right.
There were a
I don't
couple
know.
of.
I don't know about whether a reporter wrote that, but a detective who was on that case by the name of Timothy O'Connor, who later became Chicago Police Commissioner. They
Sure.
called them commissioners in those days. Told my boss much later, Dick Bjorklund, the late Dick Bjorklund, that he left a calling card, both at the Brown place and by the Degnan home, and he defecated on the scene. And reporters asked O'Connor during the investigation if they were looking for, if they had 4 or 5 people that they were looking for. And he says, based on what we've seen, we're only looking for one person.
was his
Because
pattern, huh?
statistically, there would be only one person that would be likely to defecate, you know, on a crime scene
Yeah.
where he had just committed the crime.
That
So
was
that
his
isn't that-
sexual satisfaction.
Yeah.
that helped
That
him.
was
that
that's
helped them,
interesting.
track
yeah.
him down. If
Today
it
you'd have
today,
DNA.
Testing it.
DNA, they'd have had the guy
They
in
would-
the next half hour.
Well,
you know?
if yeah, But he lived in Skokie, and he was going to University of Chicago,
Right.
so he's riding Yells back and forth.
Yeah.
And we know whether he ever really did it, I don't know, but he was a bad guy. He was definitely involved in burglaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't he finally caught by somebody realizing the tinkering of windows with that?
I don't really know.
threw a
Yeah.
flower pot down
Oh.
and crap.
I don't
Clunked
recall actually how he was.
His parole has always been denied, despite the
Right.
maybe lack of
There-
hard evidence
Oh,
connected to the
yes.
crime.
Well,
Yeah.
she had a sister, I remember, and possibly
Yeah.
a brother.
Yeah.
But they are at all the hearing. I mean, he'll
Yeah.
never,
Yeah.
No.
never make it out.
And I'm trying to think, where was it? Was it Thorndale, and was it Kenmore or Winthrop that they lived in? There was a corner.
Oh, they
building.
lived on Kenmore.
On
Yeah.
Kenmore near
Thorndale.
Near Thorndale.
And it was the corner building, I think, on the northeast corner, and it's gone. The building does not
Yeah.
exist. There's an apartment building.
Yeah, because
there.
we'd walk right down Thorndale to
Yeah.
the L's.
Yeah. That was.
Oh, then you know
Yeah.
it well. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's just
I was
ironic that
Born and raised in there.
that
Yeah.
how that connected. You don't
Yeah.
think of it then,
Yeah.
but it was so vivid, and I probably remember it more because I was her category. You know,
Yeah,
it was
sure,
like,
yeah,
it could
yeah.
have been me, it could have been
It
anybody.
could have been anybody,
Naturally,
yeah, yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
But then things were getting more vivid. Then
Yeah.
it was, you knew now that you had
Yeah.
something to feel.
Well, growing up where I did, I remember one time, this was during the war, where at lunchtime we all went home for lunch, and they said, somebody got murdered over in the barber shop over on Sedgwick, just north of North Avenue. So we all walked through the alley, and it was right at the alley, and I guess the body was still there, and with a sheet over it, and the police were there, and there was still a little bit going on, even during crime scenes, and some of my other one of my classmates unfortunately passed away. Saw a guy get shot one time under the L tracks at Orchard and North Avenue. Never saw anything in the paper about it. Never saw.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
there's
guys.
plenty that we don't know.
Guy, gets in the taxi cab and away he goes, and there's a body laying there, and he and his sister, they run home. They said there's a guy shot. I assume he was killed, but who knows? So those things like that did.
It was in the barber shop?
Well, the one I went to, was the typical like gangland,
You sure it wasn't in the school store?
No.
Jack.
The bookie, right.
It was on. Yes, I'm sure it was not in the school store. But when you talk about some of those things, you do remember. We had a case where a guy crucified himself, or somebody crucified him
At North Avenue
and Dayton Street,
and Halstead, right
How do you do that?
by
the elevator.
L trestle.
Yes, and I walked. What was the story?
Well, here's what happened. This guy.
This is a long time ago
This
too.
was 1943.
Yeah.
The man, the alleged victim or whatever, was an Austrian Nazi living in Chicago, and he was a frequent speaker at places like Bughouse Square, advocating for the fascist cause, particularly the Austrian version of the fascist cause, which has got to be pretty close to the German version, since Hitler himself was an Austrian.
Was Austrian,
But
yeah.
anyway, he was regarded as a local nut who lived in a rooming house or a small apartment on Halstead Street, right across the street from the L trestle. According to the story, some people knocked on his door at 3 o'clock in the morning and asked if he would be willing to die to save humanity. And he said, I will die for my ideas, but not for yours. And supposedly, this was what he told the police, okay? Don't look at me in that tone of voice. I'm not the one that dreamed this up.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Anyway.
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger.
Anyway, they supposedly dragged him out and nailed him to the trestle, right under the L.
The supports,
Across
they
the-
were
yeah.
in a big X.
Yeah, and that was mostly wooden beams in those days, less metal than you have
Yeah.
today. Much easier to crucify someone. And they hung a sign over him, this good man is sacrificed for the good of all humanity. let us all remember and follow his example.
Oops.
Signed something like the New World Order or something like that. 2 cops at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning are coming up the street. No.
And they said, get out of. That's private property, for Christ's sake.
Say that's not our district.
Yeah, it's not our district.
Now, how do you radio in to your boss
Right.
and say, Sarge,
Yeah.
there's this guy,
Nailed to the-
there's this guy
We got a
hanging out
crucifixion.
crucified.
Was he still living then, or no?
He was still alive. Oh, it gets better. He was still alive. Now, the Sarge, of course, is going to say, stop drinking in church.
Yeah.
And, get the hell on the street where you're supposed to be. They found the guy. He must have had some help. Because he had carefully,
For the wrist.
when you crucify a person, you have to be careful to not to hit any major veins. The Romans were very good at that.
We have directions now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, didn't they?
Yeah, and he was hanging up there, but he was not, bleeding profusely.
Right.
He went to the hospital. He was under observation, both physically and mentally. The cops questioned him, and then he disappeared. He apparently left town. No one knows where. No one knows whatever happened to him. He survived it.
Wow.
Why he did it?
Yeah.
Supposedly it was to call attention to his cause,
Okay.
but he probably had a following of exactly 3 or 4 people. A couple of whom may have been the ones that helped nail him up, to this.
Pat, you gave the year was
Wow.
43 during the war, of course.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Oh,
43 was
gosh,
the year.
43 was during World War II.
Yeah.
I remember that happening, and I never heard the full story, but I walked over there. It was on Dayton. At that time, Dayton came out to North Avenue. It doesn't anymore. And the L is curving at that point.
Right.
It's starting to go northwest.
Uh-huh.
And I thought he was like roped up there, tied up there.
No,
but
he was. They used
actually
ropes.
put-
They used
oh.
ropes, but they drove in the nails.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember it was also there was a junkyard right there too, and they used part of the property under the L tracks to store junk. And it was during the war, and they had scrap drives, and I should call it maybe a junkyard, but so that was there too. And because I can remember, remember walking over there, and
Come on,
You
Ken.
remember his name, Pat?
No, I don't. I have it in my notes somewhere because I did a way back
I
when
just wanted
story.
to know if he was Irish.
No, he was.
Oh,
You said he was.
He was
Austria
German.
now.
yeah.
He was German.
My,
we Irish do not do crazy things like that.
I'll have you know.
No.
I'll have you know,
Not too
my mother's parents both came from Austria before the First World War here. Yeah, that's where the red hair came from. In their back. And they actually had it in their head that they'd work here for a while and go back. Well, I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
2 world wars and all.
Yeah.
Right.
I was often wondering when my dad, when he went over in the Navy convoy in early '44, I think it was, he was an electrician's mate stationed out in Southampton, and they were separated from the convoy. So I was wondering, wouldn't it be something if one of Ma's cousins was in the U-boat that
Yeah.
sunk them?
That sunk him.
You don't know. Could have.
Yeah.
You don't know.
And now, on that happy note, we have another break.
Wouldn't that be great if the submarine picked him up and say,
Interesting, isn't
very much.
you haven't written to your mother in 6
My mother's
months.
one brother-in-law was
Well, we can
born
make
there,
more of
and he
these.
came here
It is marvelous.
from the same area in Austria. And this is in like the 30s. He was a citizen already. He gets a draft notice from the Reich,
Oh yeah.
and he took this. He says, "What about this?" And he still, to the day he died, he still sounded German. He never lost his accent.
Yeah.
And they go, "Are you a citizen? Forget about it." Well, I figured they sent out these sucker letters.
Yeah.
So Fritz is going to go back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Find some believers.
My kid was born in France, and he had both citizenships
Yeah.
when I was in the army. And if
Is
he
that-
ever went back there, he could be drafted.
Yeah.
So when he turned, when he turned 18, he had to give up,
Renounce.
renounce the
mean,
French citizenship.
He was in '58. You and Charles de Gaulle,
Yeah.
the Grand Charles.
Yeah. The Grand Charles.
Yeah.
I want to compliment all of you. How interesting and all of this is marvelous. This reminiscing, But it brings back about a week ago of talking with my kids, and they always say, Ma, how can you remember all that or that? And, you know, they say some good things too. But I said, you know what, kids? We didn't have a lot of interruption regarding our thinking pattern. We didn't have texts. We didn't have cell phones. We hardly used the phone.
Yeah.
The
You
newspaper.
couldn't. You get your hand cracked.
Oh God!
We didn't have a
Talking about
phone.
reminiscing, we had one where you put a nickel in,
Yeah.
and the guy collected the money.
Yeah.
He should be back.
Like
The
CET.
best thing they could ever.
Like CET, you know.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it really was
Yeah.
a very good thing. You
Oh
know?
yeah.
But we didn't have we didn't have TV. I mean, you
Yeah.
get the point. And I thought, no wonder things stayed. Everything had a meaning.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what happened is we started talking about, and it could be a good program too, writing on onion skin paper to the
Oh, sure.
soldiers.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then if they wrote back, you know, sometime you opened it up, it was only that big. You'd have, Dear Jeanette, Love Max.
Yeah.
The whole middle was cut out.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
all letters
Censoring,
were read.
It was censored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it made you think of so many
Oh yeah.
moments like that.
Wait till you see my article in the newsletter coming up. I was censored.
Oh, you were
I
censored.
was censored.
Oh,
And I wrote a nasty little
Censored or
note back
censured?
to those people. Yeah, that's censored.
Who censored you? The publisher?
Either McManaman or
Because we have the vice president is the editor.
editor of the either that or Connors.
Oh.
Overly blunt language, do
Put
you
it
think?
on
Or?
No, I just gave a slam at the
it's
chiefs
something.
and the exempts.
Oh, and then
They
they
don't belong to the Clarendon
Oh.
Museum.
you
Yeah.
can't say
They're
that.
too damn cheap, you know. And I hear that all the time from Mr. So and so, and he's always complaining. But to us, well, don't complain to the choir.
Yeah.
Complain to the people that
Yeah. That you really have to walk a fine line. You know. Yeah.
Are we on a break, John?
No.
We're not. Yeah.
John's
Hey,
on a
folks,
break.
Disregard that last couple of minutes, will you?
You're all right.
Yeah.
Now we are.
Are we on a break
Now we are.
Okay.